Daniel Caesar, Toronto native. I just want to point that out there. Toronto native. Shout out to the Six. He made some headlines this week, but for the wrong reasons, unfortunately. He made comments via Instagram Live about a situation that occurred with I'm going to say socialite by the name of Yes Julz. I don't know what her exact title is. Some people call her influencer, some people call her tastemaker, but I literally just heard about this woman like a week ago. So I'm going to call her a hip-hop socialite. I'm going with that title. But essentially, what happened is she went on a podcast that was hosted by Murder Mook, and she made comments about certain people that she felt were dragging her name in the mud. So she went off and mentioned blogger and journalist Karen Civil, and she also did the same with on-air personality Scotty Beam. And those are two people who have basically worked their way up the ladder within the hip-hop media circuit, and have made names for themselves on different platforms from one end to the other. So she made some comments about them, and she apparently has been known to make disparaging comments about black women in the past as well, and has deemed it necessary, or has given herself some sort of entitlement to make certain comments about black women and black culture as a whole. She really caught fire for a post that she put up on Twitter or some sort of social media platform with a shirt that said "Niggas lie a lot," and she asked in the caption, "Can I wear this?" Yeah. And and she also kind of caught flack for calling out Joe Budden as well in that same interview with Murder Mook, pardon me, about something about him wanting her so bad, and how she had to help him return a $400 pair of sweatpants. Something crazy. I don't know. I was listening to the Joe Budden podcast about that, and that's what I got from it. But anyways, essentially she's a bit of an instigator, a troublemaker of sorts, and a lot of people are alleging that she has slept her way in the industry to get ahead within the industry. I don't know how much of that is certain, but that's neither here nor there. So essentially, she has become somewhat of an irritant amongst the black community within hip hop. So Daniel Caesar decided to take it upon himself to defend Yes Julz because she was getting so much backlash from people in the industry as well as people on social media as a whole. And he started to ask questions like, why are we dissing Yes Julz? Why do black people always have to be so negative towards white people? And that's where things kind of took a bit of a left. So he was making those comments, and this is all over Instagram Live as well. And a lot of people were not happy with the fact that he was making these comments in defense of Yes Julz. Afterwards, he also stated that black people are racially insensitive when it comes to certain moments. And then he also made the comments that black people should also be working with white people or other people outside the community, and that they should join the winning team. He said those comments as well as black people should have, the ability to get over certain things as well. So while he was saying this, he kept on prefacing all of his statements by saying, "I'm drunk, guys, I'm drunk." So I have a feeling he knew he was going to say something controversial, or that he knew he was wrong, or whatever the case may be. But I'll get to that in a second. So what I want to get to is this first. So let's go to the Julz, or the Yes Julz controversy. So in regards to that, I'm going to say this. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but everyone is also entitled to receive backlash from said opinion. With that said, I think what Caesar has to understand is, and I'm not sure if he knows the full context of that story with Yes Julz and everyone else, but what he needs to understand is that it's very problematic to defend somebody that doesn't really care about the people within your culture. And I think that's one of the bigger things to take away from this whole fiasco. And again, I don't know if he knows the full story, but you can't defend a person who basically bastardize and contextualize women within your community as people being below her. and all the reasons that she made in disrespecting black women came from a place of pettiness, from what I understand, from all the interviews that I've listened to try and gather up all the facts and the information. It just seems very petty. I mean, at one point she said, black women hate on me because I'm a white girl, I'm a skinny white girl with a big ass, and how I'm allowed to say the N-word because I'm Puerto Rican, and therefore me being Puerto Rican makes me allowed to use the N-word. No, you're only allowed to use the N-word when you are of immediate black, if you're part of an immediate black ethnicity. So if you're like half black and half white, cool. If you're Ghanaian, cool. If you're Nigerian, cool. If you're black American from 5 generations down, cool. Even if you're Latin Caribbean, but you have immediate black in you, like one of your parents is full on Afro Latino, like Dominican, for example, and the other parent is Costa Rican, cool. Like all those things make sense. But like if you're Latino and I mean, I don't want to get into another debate. Like, that's a whole story for another day. I don't want to ramble on about that. The point is, you can't find entitlement in those areas. So, going back to Daniel Caesar in his defense of Yes Julz, I think it was misguided. I obviously don't know the individual personally in regards to Caesar, but I think he should have done a bit more or a lot more research on the whole situation before he had an opinion on that, because I get it, some people will hop on a headline out of nowhere just for entitled outrage, but knowing what the story is about, the outrage in this scenario is warranted. And to side with the person that disrespects the women that are within your community is very problematic, to say the least. So I think that was his mistake on that end of the spectrum. So going from that, let's talk about how he made the comment about working with white people and other people outside the community. I agree with that. I agree that there's no issue at all whatsoever in working with people outside of your ethnic community or whatever community you hail from. As long as you have the same goals in mind as the other people that you are collaborating with, that is the main goal. If your focus is singular, that is the main goal. If you guys are working for the betterment of whatever project you're working on that may benefit your social community or your whatever project you're working on, if it benefits the greater good, then there is no problem at all in collaborating with people who are outside of your community. Perfect example, you look at you look at the cast and crew of Black Panther. You had Ryan Coogler as a director, and then you had Ludwig Göransson as the composer for the score for the film. And what happened? It turned out to be arguably the biggest film of the year, and it racked up a ton of Oscar nominations, including for Ludwig for Best Score in the film. And those two in particular have worked together on multiple projects. They've worked together on Black Panther, they worked together on Creed, and they worked together on Fruitvale Station as well. So it shows you that there's nothing wrong with working with people who are outside of the community, as long as it's for the greater good, for whatever you're trying to, for whatever median you're trying to benefit. So there's no issue with that. Only issue I would take with what he said was when he said something to the extent of joining the winning team. Now, that can be seen as problematic as well, in the sense where you're almost giving up some sort of agency in order to secure yourself a better chance of victory, rather than working hard towards earning victory with whatever situation that you're currently in. It's almost like, and it kind of goes to the point of why there are people out there who are mad that, let's say, for example, I'm going to sports with Kevin Durant, for example, joining the Golden State Warriors when they were already a winning squad that didn't necessarily need him per se. So I can understand from that context as well. And it's almost as if to say, and I don't know if he meant that in this particular context, but it's almost as if to say that black people are on a sinking ship. They should hop on the white ship because that's the one that's going to stay afloat. I think that's how many people interpreted that quote right there, and I think that's where, again, he messed up on, and he really needs to be careful with what words or what phrases he decides to use within his verbiage, because that, again, sounds very problematic. It almost sounds as if it stems from some sort of self-hate issue or whatever the case may be. Not saying that that's the case, but I'm just saying it comes across as such. So I think that's where he kind of needs to really step back for a moment and say to himself, is this the right turn of phrase that I should be using right now? Is this the proper context in which it should be used right now? Should I even say that at all? So again, that's another thing that he really needs to be cognizant of in that type of scenario. And then he also mentioned, and I'm just kind of going through my notes right now, he also said that black people should learn to get over things. This is arguably the most problematic statement that he made during that whole Instagram video rant. And notice I'm saying the word problematic a lot, but for good use, for good reason. Here's the thing. He's almost 50-50 on what he's saying. Hear me out now. On one end, there are people within the black community, and I'm not saying all people, I'm not even saying a majority of people, but there are people nonetheless who will use a struggle, whether it's slavery, whether it's social economics, whether it's racial profiling, whatever the case may be. There are people who will use those types of things that have disenfranchised black people in North America for the longest time and use that as somewhat of a crutch as to why they're not getting ahead in life without even finding or putting in the effort to find a resolution or solution to whatever issues that they're going through. And whatever issues they're going through may not even correlate to any of those issues that black people have faced. So, again, I don't know if you're speaking in that context, but if he was, cool. If he wasn't, then maybe he should further explain that the way I'm explaining it right now. But there are black individuals, some, don't know the numbers of course, but there are some that at the very least I can say that will use those issues and compound them as an excuse as to why they haven't been successful in their career path or whatever the case may be, without putting in any legitimate amount of work or craft into what they're doing. They'll just use that as a pile-on scapegoat. However, on the opposite end of the spectrum, there are many people in the black community who fight against those stigmas. They fight against socioeconomics. They fight against racial profiling. They fight against stereotypes in general that hold the black community as a whole backwards. They fight against it on a consistent basis. And when that happens, and you're telling those same people who do that to let things go or to get over it, when it's still continually happening and they're still continuing to fight against it, that is very problematic because it shows that you lack empathy and it shows that you have a very narrow-minded viewpoint of where that person is coming from and what experiences that they've gone through as well. So that's, unfortunately, another place in where he messed up. And I feel like with him and who he is and the introspectiveness that you hear within his music, I feel like he should know better. Now, far be it for me to know if he's politically inclined or whatever the case may be. I don't know. I don't know this person outside of the music. All I can say is this. When it comes to Caesar, I think he needs to spend some time to share dialogue with other people of the black community. So whether it's people who are in the music space, people who are in the political space, people who are in the socioeconomic space, share ideas back and forth. Because I'm not sure what his upbringing was like. I don't know if, as a black child, he was chastised by other people within the black community. I don't know what it is. I have no idea. Maybe he grew up in a multicultural setting like I did as well. But for these types of statements to come out and the way they came out, there has to be some sort of dialogue to be exchanged. I don't know what the deal is with him. And I'm not here to bastardize him or to chastise him or anything like that. I'm just basically stating out the facts as far as why people reacted the way they did and what type of backlash it has caused since then. Now, I don't think we should be in the position to say, let's cancel him. He's canceled. No, we're not going to do the cancel culture thing. And cancel culture, as we all know, is very inconsistent because if this guy puts out a hit, an EP, or an LP that just blows everyone out of the water, all those people who are saying cancel are going to be back on his jock. We're not saying cancel. But I will say, and I am saying right now, that there should be dialogue exchange between him and certain individuals from these different types of backgrounds. And just explain to him why people reacted the way they did and how it came across. I'm not asking for a grand apology. I mean, that's his prerogative if he wants to do so, but I think he needs to understand why people were so passionately upset about it. And it's ironic because not too long before this situation, he was in the same room as Dave Chappelle, and somebody asked him about his opinion on Daniel Caesar, and the first thing that Dave Chappelle said, I thought he was gay, or something to that extent. And then Daniel Caesar came on camera and sat right beside him and said that he felt a bit offended, but then he said, nah, it's cool. And then Dave Chappelle said, oh, I feel bad now. He was like, no, don't feel bad, man, don't feel bad. So it's a little ironic that that happened to you, and then you're saying this about, people in the community as a whole, and far be it for me to know. Maybe he's put out an apology. I don't know yet, but I haven't heard anything since then. But you're telling people to get over it and join the winning team and things of that nature. So again, just be careful with the verbiage that you're using. Be careful of the way you're explaining things. And to say, hey guys, I'm drunk. I'm sorry, but when I hear things like I'm drunk, to me, in any scenario, I don't care what it is, whether it's him or whether it's Post Malone saying I'm drunk, I think that's a cop-out. I think that's a cop-out in a sense where you now get to say things with no filter and don't feel any type of need to feel apologetic about what you say going forward once that statement, I'm drunk, has been made, or I was drinking. Just own up to what you say and let everything play out, but understand at the same time that whatever you may say may have consequences that come with them as well. And I think that he should be prepared to face those consequences if they happen to come around. Again, not chastise this man, but at the same time, I think he needs to know where he messed up. But do you agree? Do you disagree? Hit me up on all social media platforms at Cool Radio CC and share your thoughts.